guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we are going to be taking a look at the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Masters of the Universe 40th Anniversary 2-pack. Now look, I know it's September. This came out a couple months ago, but hey, forgive me. I've been extremely busy going to Comic-Con, doing the coverage, so I'm a little late to actually reviewing the item, but I couldn't not take a look at this because I do think it's a very cool looking set, and I'm excited to dig into it and really get a look at the action figures inside. What you see right now is actually the giant mailer box that this came inside of, which is emblazoned with the 40th anniversary logo there. We're going to just kind of scoot this out of the way to reveal the actual pack. This thing is massive, by the way. If I bring in the tape measure here, you can see that this is like 19 inches across. It stands 12 inches tall. It is huge, but it is very cool looking. It looks like this secret crate, basically, right? That houses treasures within. 40th anniversary logo on the backside. I'm going to do my best to open this up without spilling everything out of it. We're going to see how well it works, because basically it just folds open on the front. I can already see things falling forward here. So let me kind of hold this in place. Let me fold this forward. Oh my goodness, there's like pieces falling out everywhere. Ah! Okay. All right. So the presentation right here is really, really cool, right? Like you've got the great red bursting rocks. It's got the Masterverse logo up there on the top, but it really pays homage to the classic Masters of the Universe logo. For 40 years, the almighty He-Man and the evil sorcerer Skeletor have been locked in an epic battle for the power of Grayskull to determine who truly is Master of the Universe. Oh my god, I love that. That is so cool. Now you can see there is like a nice little red ribbon on here. Like if you were laying this down, that would be helpful because you would remove this. And this is really cool. I thought this was neat. Do you see that they got the blister bubbles attached to this, and they even put the little dimples in there to mimic the vintage packaging? And that just comes off. Like it's not attached to anything. You can just remove this piece, and that reveals this really great foam insert with all of the items nicely placed inside. Now again, I've got this standing up, so some of it is like falling over. But you can see it also comes with two reproductions of the original mini comics, King of Castle Grayskull and He-Man and the Power Sword. Those are the first couple mini comics from the vintage toy line. And then we've got a brand new version of He-Man. Now this is the 40th anniversary figure, but he is slightly different in this set because he features some flocking and some die-cast metal parts. Skeletor over here, as of now, is exclusive to this set. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets another release somewhere down the road, hopefully. And one of the things I found most exciting, the Warrior Ring is also included in here. So this is really cool because it's very easy. You should be able just to slide these right out of the foam inserts here, just like this. And that way, if you do decide that you want to display them back in this amazing packaging, it's very easy just to slide everything back in here. You can put all the weapons back in. We can put that cover on the top. We can close this up. It is gorgeous packaging. It really does feel like something special to help celebrate this major milestone for the brand. But I'm going to go ahead and get all these guys pulled out of the packaging, and then we are going to get a closer look at these action figures. Okay, so here's our two replica comic books that were inside of the packaging. We'll take a look at those first. We've got King of Castle Grayskull and He-Man and the Power Sword. These are the two earliest comic books here. And for anybody out there that is worried about these, like, you know, getting mixed in with some originals, it is worth noting it's very easy to tell these apart. First of all, they do have the 40th anniversary logo right up there in the corner, and the material is not quite the same, though they do feel nice, and these are quite thick when compared to the mini comics we get with the modern figures. You can see just how much more fleshed out these stories were in these original comics, but they look nice. They look like good prints. Man, that beautiful Alcala artwork in there. Look at that Skeletor. Oh, that's the best Skeletor right there. I love it too because they even have like the illustrated cross cells in there, you know, that tells you all the characters and the vehicles. Skeletor tuning into his TV there. Pretty fun stuff. But you can see, look at this. I love this amazing image of He-Man on the front cover by Axel Jimenez and Francisco. I love that it says in honor of Mark Taylor. I think that is wonderful, wonderful stuff. And then the back there also has the 40th anniversary of He-Man logo. So again, it's easy to pick these out among the vintage ones, but it is also nice to have them, especially if you've never had them before. If you have not ever had these before, read these and marvel at the beautiful artwork in there. Look at that. We've got a Skeletor in there as well. So really, really good stuff. So love that these are packed in. They are absolutely 100% part of the history of this line and deserve to be celebrated. So this is probably my favorite accessory in this whole set. It's a die-cast metal version of the classic Warrior ring. I love this. It's big and chunky. Still probably doesn't fit most adult hands very well. You can see it's doesn't really go on my middle finger. I can squeeze it on my ring finger, but it's pretty tight, and I have bony fingers, so I imagine this isn't going to fit most people. You can see it's got like a slit in the bottom, but it's die-cast metal, so it's not like it's flexible, but it does still look neat. It's going to be a really cool little collectible to have on your shelf. It's got that gray skull type symbol on the top there, straight from the vintage Warrior ring. I do love the red eyes, and that's because we do have the opening compartment. You can see there's like translucent red plastic over the eyes, so look at that. When it's open, they look like they're lighting up. I love that. That is so cool. It's like the light piping feature. And then you can see the 40th anniversary logo on the inside in the compartment. So how about we do a little bit of comparison time, because this right here is what this new one is inspired by. Of course, this vintage ring came packaged with figures like Trapjaw and Triclops in the original line, and it too had an opening compartment there, but it had the classic Masters of the Universe logo on the inside, and it was glow in the dark, so now you have die-cast metal. But I love this. I think that's a really, really cool nod to one of those iconic vintage accessories. All right, so let's kick things off by taking a look at the He-Man figure in this pack. So as you can see, if I bring in the tape measure, he does stand above 7 inches tall, so he feels quite tall. And of course, this is going to be basically the same figure that is being released as a single pack 40th anniversary figure, but there are some differences here, mainly the fact that the loincloth and the tops of the boots are flocked. So you can see you got the nice fuzzy flocking there, which is actually pretty cool. It really doesn't take away from any of the details. It's flocked pretty nicely. So that's a pretty cool effect. If you're not into the flocking thing, well, the single packed one is definitely going to be the one for you. So it is worth mentioning, we got a whole new body for the 40th anniversary He-Man figure. I'm going to go ahead and just bring in that first Masterverse He-Man here to stand them side by side so you can see the differences in the body type. Specifically, look at the chest. It is so much bigger and bulkier. This figure feels much more like He-Man because he's got that bulk to it. I have been one of the guys who's been complaining that the Masterverse figures have felt a little too scrawny for He-Man figures, so they've definitely rectified that with the newer, bulkier body here. The legs do appear to be the same, and I will say, if there's one thing about these guys, the legs do still feel a little long, but maybe that's just my interpretation. I don't know, I'm so used to He-Man figures being so squat, so maybe that's just my visual that's making it look like that. But I will say that the body itself does look a ton better with that bulked up chest there. So much, much stronger looking, much more He-Man. And also with the head sculpt there. So they definitely modeled this after the vintage He-Man head. Now, I talk about all the time how hard it is to get He-Man's face right. There's just something about it that really seems to be hard to capture, and I do feel like they did a pretty good job here. When the initial pictures came out of this, I could see where they were trying to get it, but I wasn't sure that I liked it. I will say that in hand, I do like this quite a bit better than I expected to. I still don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's pretty good. It's got some interesting paint deco on there where you can see there's some shading on the face, trying to give it a little bit of realism, I think. You can see a lot of that shading also kind of going down his arms and in his legs there. So some nice shading on all the skin tone there, which is trying to add a little bit of realism to it. And then the harness there has got a metal look to it. However, the harness is just plastic, so it's not metal like the rest of the weapons, but the way that they painted it there, it definitely has a bit of a metallic finish to it, which looks pretty nice. Now, he does have like the orange cuffs there, and then the bracer on this side, I do think this part of it is die-cast metal. You can see it's totally different looking than the belt and the other bracer, where those are much more flat, while this has definitely got a bit of that shine to it. It is also a separate piece, so it can come off the wrist, and I can show you that a bit more in just a minute here. But the figure stands really nice. He's sturdy. Overall, I do like the look of it, and articulation-wise, why don't we just go ahead and run down it real quick. You guys pretty much know what to expect with a Masterverse figure at this point, but that head is ball jointed. It is removable from the ball joint, so you can pop that off there if you'd like to. You can bring the arms out to the side. You can bring them down, forwards, backwards, swivel at the bicep. You do have double joints at the elbow there. The wrists can swivel, and you have the hinge joint there, which is pretty nice. One thing that is worth mentioning is that on the right hand here, especially this gripping hand, he does have the hinge on the top of the hand, which means he will be able to get a better sword aloft pose. So we'll do that when we get the sword out here in just a bit. You can also turn him at the waist side to side. He's got the ball joint, so he rolls up in the midsection there. You do have the ball socket joints at the thighs, so legs can go outwards. You can see that loincloth does not really hinder the movement. It flexes right with the legs. You can bring the legs forwards, backwards, swivel at the thigh, double joints at the knees, which are very tight on this figure. You got the swivels at the boot cut, which are also very tight on this figure. And then the ankles can move forwards, backwards, as well as rock side to side. Also worth noting, there's a nice wash kind of on the boots there too, so it really brings out all the little wraps on the boots and everything. Yeah, all in all, I really like the way this guy looks. I think he turned out really good. The articulation is tight and it's functional, and the figure balances and stands just fine, which is a good thing when we start talking about all of his accessories. Now, first of all, we do have some interchangeable hands. So if you don't want the open hand, you can also do the closed fist. If you don't want the wide open hand, which is one that I still don't really like, just that wide open hand, it doesn't look natural. You do also have a gripping hand. Now, I've already got that gripping hand attached to the shield because I found that this works much better for the shield accessory, but it's one of those things where it works so much better if you plug the hand onto the handle first and then attach it to the figure here. But the shield is one of our die-cast metal weapons. So it is modeled after the vintage. You can see it's got the nice kind of orange colors on there. I love the studs going around the outside, but it is a nice sturdy metal shield. We also have the power sword done in metal. You could just hear it there. Yeah, listen to that. Ooh, nice metal. So the power sword is very, very nice. It is done in a die-cast metal, so it's got some good weight to it. It's got some shine to it. It is very cool seeing this iconic accessory done in metal. And then the same with the battle axe, which is a massive improvement over the one in Origins, because this one is actually modeled after the vintage, where it's detailed like the vintage one, but they even added these little damage marks kind of in the blade there, which is so very cool. And again, all of these accessories are metal. So I want to show you guys this. With the shield, you do want to remove the hand. I think that works a lot easier. And it does seem to work best when you remove this other wrist bracer, because that bracer does not fit through this handle very well. Now, maybe you could flex it around. I've had a lot of difficulty with it. So for me, it just works better to remove this bracer, and then we can bring this shield on. We can plug the new hand in, and now we've got He-Man holding his shield. Now, luckily, if you've got him posed like this, it covers the part so you can't see that the brace is removed. Obviously, it does look a little strange on the underside there. So it's just something to think about. You might be able to get that part, that strap, because the straps aren't metal. The straps are plastic. So maybe you can flex it around there. But I was having a hard time getting it over that wrist bracer there. So the articulation is pretty good. It seems like it's holding up the metal pieces just fine, as you can see. I do worry sometimes about over time the weight of that kind of weighing down the joints, but out of the box, it's working pretty good. So why don't we go ahead and bring the power sword over real quick. We can clip that in his hand, and same thing here. For the most part, I don't have too many problems. You can see there is a bit of a weight issue with the elbow, but if you bend the elbow, there you go. You can just kind of bend it in the right spot. He holds it up just fine. And of course, since we can actually tilt the wrist up, you actually can get a better sword aloft pose. Just got to play with his articulation a little bit. and then we can get him to hold up the sword, which is actually quite nice. I do like that we actually got that joint on there. That's something that I talk about all the time with these. It really feels essential for He-Man, so it's a good thing that they added it for the 40th anniversary version. And if we're going old school, if we're really celebrating the anniversary, first of all, we got the sheath that we can put the sword on the back. It holds really nicely. And now we can bring in the battle axe. Yeah, because that's 1982 He-Man right there, baby. You gotta have him wielding that battle axe. It's a great accessory. I do love it. It's a little loose in that hand, as you can see, but he does keep a hold on it at least. And I don't seem to have any issues with the joints failing or anything like that. So he's holding up the accessories pretty good. He's holding on to everything. I actually really do like the look of this. I think the die-cast metal accessories are quite a bit of fun. And while we're here, why don't we just go ahead and jump into comparison time? We got to start by showing He-Man off alongside the original 1982 action figure that he is inspired by. So you can see the similarities between the two, but just how much bigger this Masterverse version is. I also want to stand this guy alongside the Masters of the Universe Classics He-Man, the version that came with that toy-inspired head. So whether you're using that head from one of the other pack-ins or it's the Ultimate He-Man from Super 7, I think that's the right one to display alongside this 40th anniversary version, since they're basically going for the same look, but that way you can see what the Masterverse one looks like alongside the Masters Classics one. You can see that he actually does scale bigger than the Masters Classics version. And we're going to go ahead and show him with all of the other Masterverse He-Man action figures, because I want to show all of those off as well. We've had several He-Man figures in this line so far, and this isn't even all of them. We've got more on the way, but this one definitely stands out amongst the crowd. All right, so that's going to bring us over to Skeletor. Bringing in the tape measure here, you can see he's just a hair over 7 inches tall. And this is a really cool looking Skeletor action figure. Again, he's utilizing that same puffier, bigger, muscular torso that we've got on the He-Man figure there. We got the classic kind of fins on the arms there, clearly inspired by the vintage figure. You got the little nails even on the hands there. You got the boots that are definitely inspired by the vintage as well. I love the wash in there that brings out all of the details. On the armor itself, you can see that we got some metallic purple paint on the crossbones. We do also have the separate loincloth piece that is hanging over the standard loincloth there, just like on the vintage toy. And then that brings us to the head sculpt, which is fantastic. Man, I love this Skeletor head. First of all, I love the textures on the hood, and I love the wash on there, so it's got this great mix of kind of black mixed in with the purple there. And then the Skeletor face on this just looks good. Like, that really looks like Skeletor. It is got a gloss to it, which is really interesting, so it's very kind of shiny, but it's a very bright yellow. You could see the green worked in there, which is straight from the vintage figure as well. They did go ahead and paint the red dots in the eyes as if it's glowing. And one thing worth mentioning is that this is, I believe, the first ever Skeletor figure with an articulated jaw. Yes! I will rule Eternia! See, now I'm just going to talk like Skeletor all the time, because I don't know, that's so much fun. Now, one thing I will say is that the jaw hinge is a bit loose. You can see right now I've got it posed where it's closed, but it does hang open quite a bit, and sometimes, as you can see, when you're trying to pose it, it just kind of gapes open. So you really do have to find like that sweet spot to get it closed, but I love that we've got an articulated jaw on Skeletor. I think that is incredible, and I can't believe it took this long to finally get that joint on there. I don't know, I love the look of this guy. This guy really does invoke the vibes from the vintage one and just really looks like my Skeletor. I love it. So, articulation-wise, he is going to function the same as He-Man there, so we don't have to completely go over all of that, but he does have the same removable head there. You know, the arms are all going to function the same joints. Everything feels nice and tight. He does have the boots there that are a little different than He-Man's, of course. Got those monster feet, but those monster feet do still articulate forwards and backwards. Very tight joints at the ankles there, but then they also rock side to side as well. So, should be able to still get the same kind of posing out of Skeletor as we do with He-Man, which does bring us to his accessories. So he also comes with a pair of interchangeable hands. So he has two gripping hands, And then you can also see I've got one hand that's kind of posed open, and then we've got a closed fist for the right. So it's very easy to swap those out, just like with He-Man. If you want to do that, you just pull them right out. You got the pegs there. Just pop the new hand back in place. It's nice and tight, so they lock in really good. And then he also features some die-cast metal accessories. So he's got his version of the sword, nice purple metal there, which is so cool looking. I love the shine on that. Feels really, really nice. He also has the sheath on his back, so you can place that in the sheath as well, because he also has the Havoc Staff. Now, on the Havoc Staff, the only part of this that is made of die-cast metal is the skull itself. The horns are plastic, and the staff is plastic, so we only get metal on the actual skull there. So I guess I'm a little bummed by that, but I guess I understand. They probably did the plastic so that you could still hold on to it without any issues, you know, so that you've got the flexibility there to put it in his hands. I definitely think it would have been really cool if the entire thing was die-cast metal, but that's definitely just me being nitpicky at this point, because I do love the shine of it. It still looks really nice. And all in all, we've got a really cool Skeletor action figure. Now, one thing I will say is that as of right now, this particular 2-pack, which was exclusive to Comic-Con, is the only way we can get this 40th anniversary Skeletor. And I did ask Mattel about this at Comic-Con, if they're planning to release him solo, and they said they had no plans at this time. Now, that does not mean that they won't. I think it's possible that they will reuse this mold and release him without the die-cast metal parts, but I don't know for sure, and as of right now, he's only included with this set, and that is a bummer, because more people definitely need this Skeletor. Alright guys, it's comparison time for Skelly. Let's go ahead and stand him alongside the vintage action figure from 1982, so you can see the similarities between the two. You can see what this new one is homaging. And we're going to go ahead and stand him alongside the Masters of the Universe Classics figure, because Classics, in essence, was also just trying to take the vintage figures and turning them into modern-day articulated toys. So, you know, both of these figures are essentially doing the same thing, so it's interesting to see the differences between them. And for funsies, let's go ahead and stand them alongside all of the other Masterverse Skeletor figures we have so far. Not near as many as we have for He-Man, but we do still have several Skeletors in this line. And in my opinion, this new one, definitely the definitive Skeletor in Masterverse so far. So, there you go, my friends. That is a look at the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 40th anniversary box set for Masters of the Universe. All in all, I think this one is a win. I love the packaging presentation. I love all of the included extras like the Warrior Ring and the mini comics. The die-cast weapons are very cool, and these figures are an excellent step up from what the previous Masterverse figures have been, in my personal opinion. These definitely have that vintage feeling to them, and they feel very Masters. Now, as I've mentioned, that He-Man is getting a solo release without the die-cast metal weapons, but as of right now, no word on the Skeletor getting a solo release, which does knock this down just a little bit, because I do want everybody to be able to have that, because it's a really, really cool figure, and I can definitely see that being many people's perfect Skeletor in their collection, like just the right one, right? So I picked mine up at San Diego Comic-Con while I was there, and those of you who were able to pre-order it are also now getting it in the mail. Otherwise, there's no word on if this is going to be available again in the future, which means at this point, you're looking at aftermarket prices, unfortunately. If you can swing it, if you can pick this set up, I really do think that you will enjoy it. It's very well done. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and until next time.